Sorry that I didn't have a video last week. I've been working a lot and doing a lot of things on the side. And I became a member of The Walking Dead for like 2 weeks. But now, back to our regular scheduled programming. Okay, so I am doing the AuthorTube in theory and practice tag today. And I was tagged by Stripped Cover Lit, who created this tag. Thank you for tagging me. I've been thinking all week, or has it been a week already? But I've been thinking for the past few days how I'm going to answer some of these questions. Some of them don't have answers yet, so we'll see how this video goes. First question is, how do you normally write poetry? Right? Yes, how do you normally start writing poetry? And my answer is, I don't. I used to fancy myself a poet a couple times in my life, and when I got to undergrad, my professors were kind of quick to let me know that I wrote the wrong kind of poetry. Most of my poems, not all of them, but most of them come from more or less around the Victorian era. So I'm a very big fan of Christina Rossetti. I love Goblin Market. I also love My Last Duchess, and who doesn't like The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe? But that's the kind of poetry I liked to write, with rhyme and meter and all that good stuff. But that wasn't acceptable when I was going to school, so I just stopped writing poetry, and I just haven't gotten back into it since. Number 2, how do you normally start writing a short story? And with me, short stories generally start as like a vague, nagging idea, and it won't go away until I sit down and start writing it, and then I flesh it out from there. So I know I said in the AuthorTube newbie tag video that I'm a heavy plotter. That's when it comes to novels. When it comes to short stories, like my literary short stories, I'm pretty much a discovery writer. Discovered about myself not so long ago. How do you normally start writing a novel? Oh, I outline, I world build, I create character profiles, I do research, and I make all sorts of notes, and I continue to add to these things. I add to the outlines, add to the profiles, I add to the world building, and do more research, and then I start writing. Sometimes I do a little bit of it during writing, but I get the vast majority, like the bulk of it done before I start writing. The next question is, do you have a writing strategy? And the answer is no, I don't. Not a single strategy has ever really worked for me, at least not long term. I'm a slow writer. I edit as I write. I don't write every day. And these are contrary to some things people might have told you, but these things seem to work for me. My second book is coming out in June, so that's just how I do it. Do you compose on paper or computer? Is the next question. And I mean, it all ends up on the computer anyway, but sometimes it feels good to handwrite. I've been handwriting a lot lately. And again, even as I'm handwriting, I edit as I write. I like scratch out things when I'm at work, so I don't look like I'm on my phone. But if there's downtime at work, I start handwriting my stories, especially the literary ones. And then when I type it on the computer, I kind of make more edits as I go. And yeah, and when I'm working on a novel, I sometimes, like, I'm at home and I type it on the computer. For example, I type chapter 1 on the computer, but I don't finish it. Then I'm at work and I have an idea, so I get a piece of paper and finish writing out the chapter. And then I come home and type up what I wrote at work. With short stories, for the most part, if I start handwriting it, I finish it handwritten and then transcribe it on the computer. The next question is, you are allowed to claim one work of fiction as your own. What is it? And for this one, I know it's weird to choose a manga, I guess, but I choose the manga Adorned by Chi. And if you don't know what Adorned by Chi is, It is an online store that sells cute, nerdy apparel, usually nerdy anime apparel. And its focus is on soft black girls like myself. And the creators of Adorned by Chi have decided to create a magical girl manga. And I cannot express how excited I am that this is actually a thing. Like, the main character is West African. It takes place in Nigeria. All the characters are West African. So far, I haven't finished the series. But I think this is pretty special because when I first discovered like anime and manga and I developed my love for Sailor Moon and things like that, I was the only black girl I knew. I was very young and I was the only black girl I knew that was into that kind of thing. Then I got a little bit older and then I noticed there were other black girls out there who read manga, and now as an adult I'm finding all of these groups of soft, nerdy black girls, and one unifying factor in general is that we all love magical girls like Sailor Moon, and there were never really any magical girls that looked like us ever. I mean, and that's kind of fair because it's a genre that kind of budded in Japan, but they were either Japanese and they looked very Japanese, or they were Japanese and they looked European. Sailor Moon has blonde hair and blue eyes. So the fact that there is like a magical girl group that looks like us and represents us is very meaningful and awesome, and I've been wanting to write my own magical girl for a while, but I'm really glad this one like already exists. Like, this is something that I want to read. And yeah, so if I could claim a work as my own, it would be that. And if you are interested in it, I can provide a link in the description. Question is, do you set goals? If so, how? No. I don't set goals at all. I write what I write when I write it. I don't set goals unless it's for like Nano or Camp Nano. Next question. Boom. You win the Nobel for... Wait. Boom. You win the Nobel in literature. What is it that got you the reward? Craft. Beautiful, elegant, gorgeous prose. And I know that's weird coming from a writer of fantasy and science fiction, but I have been institutionalized. It is the program era of creative writing, so I've been institutionalized in my undergrad studies. And so I am on a never-ending, elusive quest to seamlessly blend fantastic worlds and beautiful craft. Just elegant, gorgeous, beautiful prose. I'm not there yet. Nowhere near. Boom! You're a Nobel-winning millionaire. Where do you live and what do you drive? I live in Tokyo and I drive a Tesla. Boom! You're in writer heaven. There are 5 writers in your group. Who are they and why? This is the one that gave me the most trouble. That is currently giving me trouble. So I came up with 6, and I'm not sure who to like boot out, so maybe I'll just cheat and say 6 instead of 5. Maybe I will be forgiven since 2 of them are poets. But they are Vladimir Nabokov, Octavia Butler, Ray Bradbury, Tolkien, Edgar Allan Poe, Christina Rossetti. Wait, who? 1 second. Vladimir Nabokov, Octavia Butler, Christina Rossetti, Edgar Allan Poe, Emily Dickinson, Ray Bradbury, and Tolkien. Oh, that's 7. It's going to be 7 and you guys are just going to have to deal with it. So Octavia Butler and Ray Bradbury, I think those 2 writers would like those two writers combined would really help strengthen like my science fiction worlds. Yeah. And Tolkien, I mean, what can you not learn from Tolkien? Like, he did everything, like the world building and language construction. I think that's what I would have where most of my questions for him would come from, tips on world building and language construction. Then there's Nabokov for his beautiful prose, his general like mastery of the English language. Like, even when you read Lolita, it's more than just like how pretty the words are, but there are so many layers. I had to explain to someone today, like, people think that Lolita is just like some erotic novel about a dirty perv, but what people don't understand is that if Nabokov wrote in layers, and you're supposed to see Lolita's pain through the layers. That's what literature does. I love that book so much. And then Edgar Allan Poe, Christina Rossetti, and Emily Dickinson. If I were to ever fancy myself a poet again and write poetry just for me, maybe. I mean, there were other poets I guess I could like pull from. Mostly Poe, because he was like one of my very first inspirations when I started writing seriously at the age of like 15 or so. I didn't really write science fiction or fantasy as much as I wanted to write like Gothic literature. That's what I wanted to write. Not horror, but Gothic literature. And Edgar Allan Poe was my standard. So yeah, I haven't written anything like horror or Gothic in quite a few years, but maybe one day it would be nice to revisit it. So yeah, those are all the questions. I don't know about that last one, I'm sorry. But those were my answers to the questions. I'm not going to tag anyone in particular, but if you are watching this, you are tagged. And then let me know if you do this, because I will watch it. And I want to see what your answers are. So yeah, thank you for watching, and who knows when I'll finish my world building series. One of these days I will. So yeah, bye.